Microsoft ignites this week, and it's Microsoft's big pitch to CIOs about their roadmap and what's on tap. We're here with Mary Jo Foley to talk about what to expect and examine Microsoft's roadmap. So MJ, what can we expect from these guys this week?
So every year, Ignite is Microsoft's big IT Pro conference, and this year it's the same. Lots of IT pros, lots of devs at this thing. Microsoft's big themes typically for Ignite are things like AI and cloud, IoT and edge, and security. And I think we'll hear all of those things again this week. But I think we're going to hear some more interesting things too about where they're going with big data, where they're going with Microsoft 365, and especially Teams, and what's going to happen with Surface Hub 2.
So let's talk about Dynamics.
Okay.
I can't help but notice that Ignite's happening about the same time as Salesforce Dreamforce.
Mm-hmm.
And Salesforce and Microsoft, they have a nice little frenemy kind of arrangement going. But, aside from the really big enterprises, these guys are increasingly competing. What can we expect from Dynamics? And basically, what do you make of the Salesforce competition?
So an interesting thing about Ignite is for the past couple of years, and this year included, there is another show that's co-located with it called Envision, and that's really the Dynamics show for Microsoft. So there's a whole other audience besides the IT pros, people who are more interested in what's going on with Dynamics CRM and ERP, who will also be in Orlando with us this week. And Microsoft already kind of tipped their hand on what they're going to talk about with that audience. They showed this week some new AI applications that they're adding to Dynamics around customer service and market insights. And they also showed off what they're doing with mixed reality in Dynamics for first-line workers in particular. So they showed off some of these new applications that they've been building for the HoloLens and for mixed reality. Specifically, they showed off an application called Layout, which lets you dynamically create a layout, a physical layout, using your hands-free headset, and kind of envision where you could put things and how the workspace flow would work for you. And then there's another one called Remote Assist, which is more like a hands-free calling app. So if you're, say, an elevator repairman and you're out there working on an elevator, you don the headset and you can see the instructions and some diagrams. So that will let you do, again, hands-free work while working in a headset.
So do you anticipate the frontline workers, wearing that big headset a lot?
No.
Day after day?
Not really. I think more it would be like you put it in your bag, you go out to your job, and when you need to look at something hands-free, you put it on, then you take it off. You're not going to be wearing it all the time like a glass hole.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So on the developer front, what can developers look forward to here?
So on the developer front, they're going to be talking up a lot of connectors that they're building into things like Teams and Office 365 and even database. That's actually going to be a really interesting announcement. They're going to talk about the new version of SQL Server next week. This week at the show. It's codenamed Aris. It's going to be called SQL Server 2019. And one of the cool things in it is they're building in connectors to other databases. So there'll be connectors to Oracle, Teradata, MongoDB, and other databases right there. So if you're a developer who works in the database space, you're going to want to work with those connectors and build your application so that they no longer have to work with a single pool of data that's siloed in one particular database. So I think that's going to be a big announcement for them there.
Yeah, it's pretty big for analytics, for sure.
Sure.
Will it connect to AWS's databases and Google's too?
That's a good question. I haven't heard them say that, but with everyone going multi-cloud these days, I kind of feel like they have to.
Yeah, I think they would have to tap into BigQuery and Aurora. Mm-hmm. And, there's a bunch of them AWS has, so interesting.
Yeah.
What else can we see from the Surface Hub, and what do we make of that?
So Surface Hub is that extra large screen multi-touch display, and they've already kind of tipped their hand again on this with an announcement they did in May where they showed us a prototype and said, this is what Surface Hub 2 is going to look like. So we know it's going to be a much thinner, much more beautiful, almost bezel-less kind of a conferencing system where you can actually stack 4 of them next to each other and make a really big multi-touch display if you wanted to. What they're going to show at the show here, I think they're going to let people see demos of the latest prototype of Surface Hub 2, but they're also going to talk about the schedule. And the schedule's changed a little bit with this. Instead of just coming out in 2019 with the next version of Surface Hub 2, ta-da, they're going to be staggering the delivery. So the first thing that's going to happen in Q2 next year is they're going to come out with the hardware. So it's going to be this beautiful 55-inch display, 4K plus. We don't know the price on it yet, but a really nice looking machine. But it's going to be running the old software. So it's going to run the current version of the Surface Hub software. And then in 2020, they're going to update it with Microsoft 365 and some of the promised other software and services capabilities that they basically made us think were coming next year. The good news is there's going to be a garage in the back of the Surface Hub 2, so you can slide in a compute module. So if you buy it next year and you want to upgrade to the new version, you're just going to be able to take out the old one and slide in the new one.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It is.
Do you think they'll make enough of these things?
So, when they first came out with Surface Hub, a lot of us were like, oh, who's going to pony up, tens of thousands of dollars for this thing? Well, a lot of people did. And I've heard it from a couple of people that they actually can't make enough of them and they've been running out. Because once people buy a couple, then they come back and they're like, I want 10. Then they come back, I want 100. And these are really hard to make. They require special kinds of glass and a lot of specialized components. So I think they haven't been able to meet demand. And so I think when the Surface Hub 2 comes out next year, people who've been kind of shut down and not able to get Surface Hub 1 may just go out and get Surface Hub 2 right away.
Okay. And you mentioned before Microsoft 365. What is it and what can we expect from it?
Microsoft 365 is what happened to Microsoft after they did their big reorg this year, in a way. So it's Windows, it's Office 365, and it's enterprise mobility and security, which is Intune and some other pieces around that, all together in one bundle. So what Microsoft's doing now is instead of giving you an Office 365 announcement, a Windows announcement, an Intune announcement, they're kind of bundling the announcements all together too. So next week we're going to hear, this coming week we're going to hear a lot about Teams, which now is basically the anchor of Microsoft 365. That's Microsoft's Slack competitor. So you're going to hear a lot about momentum numbers around Teams. So Microsoft's actually right now calling it the fastest growing business app in the company's entire history, which is pretty significant. I think you're going to hear more. Sorry?
It's kind of stunning. I'm not sure.
It is stunning. I know. When they came out with Microsoft 365 initially, with Teams initially, I was like, okay, well, Slack's already got everybody. But no, Slack doesn't have everybody. And Microsoft's appeal is, if you have Office 365, here's Teams for free. It's just part of your subscription. So right. It's gotten a lot of Fortune 500 to try it who may have just already been dabbling with Slack, and now they want to use Teams. So it's growing really quickly. And what they're doing now, which is really smart, is they're adding in more vertical features right into Teams. So this at Ignite, you're going to hear them talk about first line worker technology being built into Teams directly. So say you want to use Teams to schedule your staff in a restaurant or other place, a hospital, a school, you can actually just plug into Teams and have schedule management for first line workers built right in there. So that's how they're planning to grow Teams, going at least in the near term.
It sounds interesting. I just wonder if it's actually the anchor here, or is Office really the anchor?
Yeah. Teams is like the anchor, I'd say, to Office 365 if you're looking at the back end apps, right? On the front end, it's definitely still the Office client, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Word. Those are still the anchors for them on the front end.
Okay. What other things should we look for going on at Ignite?
There's going to be a lot of talk, as you would expect, about intelligent cloud, intelligent edge. And on the edge side, you're going to hear them talk about something they announced earlier this year, called Azure Sphere. So Azure Sphere, when it was announced, created this big ruckus because what it is an Azure service for securing your edge devices, but you have to have inside the edge device a microcontroller that Microsoft's building that runs Linux. So people were just like, what, Linux? But yeah, this is going to be coming out in preview so people can start kicking the tires on it and see if it does deliver on Microsoft's promise, which is an end-to-end secure edge service. So I think that's going to be a big theme. They're also announcing for the first time a digital twins service as part of their IoT strategy. So that'll let you create a a digital model of a physical environment. You know, the whole connected cities thing where you can design things kind of and try them out, check out your workflow in cities and in hospitals, parking garages, wherever, in virtual space, and then implement them in physical space.
Is that part of the GE partnership they have? Because GE is the one that really pushed that ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know if GE is part of it. I think Steelcase is part of it, which is another one of their big partners there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big trend. Edge, they'll probably beat the Edge stuff to death because everyone is.
Yeah.
I'm still not quite sure. I mean, I understand the conceptual thing with the Edge, but it's really just about, server makers selling hardware.
And cloud makers getting people to use their cloud services, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's an interesting development that they'll probably yap about all of 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, great. Thanks. And enjoy Ignite.
Thank you.